This is Lantec's Video Interface Edition 20, in which I'll be talking with Mike Lunch, Director of the IBM PC Company. Steve Smith will be looking at some new Compaq servers released just today, and we'll be looking at some new Toshiba laptops. Victoria Farmer will be here with Multimedia Futures, and to close the show, Guy Kewney's back with his view of the world. So here's the index. Hit the pause button to read it, and you might like to zero your VCR minutes and seconds counter now. Welcome to Lantec's Video Interface Edition 20. Now, in the box with this edition you'll find a very different type of reply paid card. Now, if you wish to keep receiving video interface, it's important that you let us know. We're not asking you for a lot of information, just a few brief details to let us know that you're still there and still watching. So please remember to fill it in and drop it in the post if you want to enjoy video interface throughout 1996 and beyond. Don't forget. Right, let's start the new year by talking with a man at the very top of IBM UK, Mike Lunch. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, Steve.
Mike, you left Toshiba at the very top of Toshiba in Europe, and you went to IBM, where in fact you started from originally. Toshiba must have been a plum job. What took you back to IBM?
Well, I'd been with IBM for 7 years, and the reason I left IBM and joined Toshiba was because basically they wouldn't give me this job.
That's a good reason.
I couldn't see a route forward to get to this job at the time. IBM was very much a traditional IT company at the time, and I hadn't been a mainframe salesman. So when Toshiba came along, that gave me the opportunity. And when I received the phone call asking me would I like to come back to IBM to help sort out the PC company, it was an offer I couldn't refuse.
Right. Okay, so you started at IBM, you went to Tosh. When you were at Toshiba, what was your view of IBM at that time?
IBM, clearly seen from the outside, enormously strong brand with tremendous access to the IT infrastructure strategies of the large corporate customer, and from the outside, that's very difficult to cope with. Also, I think I and many of my colleagues were amazed to find that IBM had, over the last 3 years, really taken the lead in terms of technological innovation, particularly in mobile computing, with innovations such as the Butterfly keyboard, the first machine with full MPEG video on the new ThinkPad 760 CD, for example. It's the only machine today available with full integrated MPEG video. So a number of key innovations that IBM were coming up with. The little button mouse device was another one.
I remember that IBM were the first with
That's
that.
right. That's right. Those are IBM innovations. And from the outside, it seemed strange that those innovations were coming onto the market, but perhaps not being capitalised on quite as strongly as the opportunity allowed.
What are your challenges ahead now?
Well, during the course of the last year, IBM slipped back in market share. And the reason for that was that they announced a new product a year ago, a new range of desktops, which in fact couldn't be shipped for nearly 1 quarter. Now, the consequence of that was many customers, naturally enough, lost their patience and were very frustrated waiting for product. So they switched to some extent to the competition, or they all went dual supplier. So one of the great challenges is to win back the trust and faith of those customers. In fact, having good products is not enough. You've got to do more than that. You've got to deliver them in quantities needed and in the quality needed.
Right. So do you think there are more infrastructure challenges than there are technology challenges for IBM at the moment?
Actually, I think that's right. I think that the infrastructure challenges are very great, and the challenges are associated with running a massive scale business with the speed of product rotation that is now fundamental in this industry. We're building to order, and we're working in a just-in-time environment, which means that we're trying to keep down the costs of inventory whilst also keeping the flexibility. It's a very great logistical challenge, and in the last few weeks we have restructured our organisation in Greenock to provide a more flexible approach. And I'm confident that we'll see that in benefits for the customer.
Right. Talking about your personal input, since you've been back there, what have your first actions been? What changes have you made?
The first thing I've done really is to concentrate on going to see large corporate customers and some of our larger dealers, because there has been a lot of management instability in IBM. I'm one of several people in this job in the last couple of years. The result of that is many of the corporate customers hadn't actually seen a senior executive from IBM for a long time.
Right.
So it's been important to re-establish those relationships quickly. So I spent a lot of time out in the field. And of course what I found is people want to work with IBM and a bit frustrated by some of the problems over the last couple of years. So that's been very exciting. Internally, having it to work with the team, we've just been through a lot of restructuring and to settle down the morale and get systems and so on in place to work better, and that seems to be paying off already. Also, IBM has spent the last 2 or 3 years to some extent competing with its channel. It was doing that by selling direct as well as selling via the dealer channel, and that has caused a lot of problems in our relationships with the channel. And in November, there's been a big announcement by IBM that it's now working only through its channel partners. Although it's delighted to have the direct relationships with customers, it won't actually sell and fulfill direct to large account customers, because we recognise that the dealers have an infrastructure and capability on logistics that we can't do ourselves. Now that very important announcement has had immediate impact in terms of willingness from the dealers to work with IBM. And we'll see that big implications of that over the course of next year. We've now got something like 700 of IBM's large account salesmen are paid directly on PC sales. Now that means I've suddenly found myself with the largest sales force in the industry, all working on IBM PCs. So that's tremendous support that we're able now to bring to it. It's going to take a while for everybody to get up to speed on products that they're not very familiar with, but I see that as a pretty formidable force.
Right. I'm interested in that last comment of yours, take a while to get up to speed. You've been very much in the portable marketplace, but now of course you're dealing with servers and so on. IBM has slipped a little bit on servers, in fact, haven't they?
I mean, IBM, I would say, took its eye off the ball on servers, and actually the products are excellent. The products announced by IBM over the course of the last year have been leading edge, and they are as good as any of our competitors' products today. But the market doesn't know that. We've done a poor job in communicating the benefits of our products and the technology that's built in. But IBM, for heaven's sake, is one of the greatest server companies in the world. Its depth of experience on mainframes and mid-range, the AS400, RS6000, and so on. It certainly has the capability and the technology there. Now it's got to bring the marketing clout to bear. And in 1996, we're going to make a big push on servers.
Right. If you had to promise our corporate audience, because those are the 6,000 people that watch this every 2 months, one change that would come from IBM over the next 12 months, what area would that be in?
I would say fixing the issues. The real issue is to be a reliable, high quality supplier that they can depend on. That is the key focus, to make sure that we can deliver what they want when they want it.
I can't let you go without saying you've been sailing recently.
Yes, I managed to get off for a couple of weeks, a week in Scotland and another week on classic yachts in the south of France. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. Mike Lunch, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
My pleasure.
Compaq have recently announced their 1995 figures. It takes them to $1 billion in the UK last year and $14.8 billion worldwide, making Compaq the 5th largest computer company in the world. Significant achievement. Here with us today to tell us a bit more about Compaq and recent product announcements is Hugh Jenkins, the Compaq Systems Product Manager in the UK. Hello, Hugh.
Hello, Steve.
Tell us a bit more about these recent announcements on the product range.
Well, we'll be bringing in new higher performance Pentium processors right across the range on the server products. At the top end, in the Proliant 4500 and 1500, we have 166 megahertz Pentium processors coming in there, a 150 megahertz Pentium processor into the Prosignia 500 range, and for the mini tower workgroup servers, the Prosignia 300s, we'll add a 120 megahertz Pentium processor.
Right, so more power really across your entire server offerings.
That's right. Now we have 4 or 5 generations of Pentium processors in the range, and what we find now is most customers are buying exclusively Pentium for their server products.
Linked with those developments, obviously, is something happening in the storage management and expansion as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, with all these big, powerful servers out there with many, many gigabytes of disk hanging off, people want a couple of things. Obviously, they want a lot of resilience across those disk systems, and they want to back them up. And we've got a couple of exciting new products in for both. Firstly, the Smart 2 array controller. This is now our 5th generation drive array controller, and what it brings is fast wide SCSI capability now, but also the ability to add disks to your existing volumes while the system is still online, so you won't have to down your server, reconfigure to add disk. You just do it as it's providing services to users. Second thing is it comes with a very nice configuration utility, Windows-based. It allows you to control the volumes in your disk size, set up your fault tolerance, all through a nice menu-driven system. So lots of sort of ease of use in there.
Very important to our users, really, are backups, and that is one area that's caused, if you like, the most amount of effort in recent years. What's going to happen there?
Well, I think we'd be the first to admit that backup of disks has been a long neglected area. We've now moved very much for high capacity and high speed backup to digital linear tape as our medium of choice, so away from DAT technology. The latest announcements will see our 1020 gigabyte digital linear tapes upgraded to a 15/30 gigabyte capacity. Another very innovative thing that we'll be bringing to market is the ability to array up to 4 digital linear tapes within a rack-mounted chassis. What that will give you is not only a very, very high capacity and high speed backup capability, it'll do something like 90 gigabytes in less than 5 hours, but it also brings the concept of RAID 5, which we know and love on disk systems, to tapes too. So if there is a problem with one of the tapes in that array, the other tapes will compensate for that and ensure that the tape backup gets done, or conversely, the restore gets done reliably and safely.
Sure. What brand of software will be compatible with these tape arrays?
In order to get this RAID 5 capability, we'll be shipping the JetServe product from Cheyenne on our Smart Start CD-ROM installation utility.
An excellent development. The next and quite a significant development is in the version of NetWare, taking advantage of some of the additional processing power being put into these boxes. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, at long last, some may say. We will be shipping NetWare SMP, so the multi-processor capable version of NetWare, again on Smart Start and supported across our existing ProLiant 4500, but also on the existing install base of ProLiant 2000 and 4000 products. And the good news is that we'll be shipping that as a free of charge option installable from Smart Start. So hopefully all of our customers out there with NetWare running on multi-processor capable machines will be able to use NetWare SMP and really get full advantage, performance advantage out of those products.
More intelligence, more management, more expansion, better backups, multi-processing capabilities, and this is only early in 1996. What direction are Compaq heading in towards the end of the year?
Well, I think as we push sort of onward and upward, what we're finding is that our servers are not only in workgroup networks where people know and love us, but increasingly being used for very business critical, mission critical application servers. By the end of this year, I would fully expect Compaq to be shipping cluster-capable servers, the ability to hot plug entire external disk storage units, and provide really highly resilient bet-your-business systems.
Hugh, I'm sure Compaq will reach their target and probably overachieve it. Good luck in 96, and thanks for sharing this information today.
Thanks very much.
And now for our look at the future of computing and technology, APT's Multimedia Futures. Sun Microsystems is making a concerted effort to adapt its Java programming language for corporate networks. Alain Baratz, the newly appointed president of Sun's JavaSoft unit, said, JavaSoft would be focusing on linking Java to a variety of software applications aimed specifically at the corporate market. Kinectix claims to have the first software-only PC video conferencing system for under $200. The Kinectix video phone uses QuickCam for Windows, an eyeball-shaped digital camera. Video phone for Windows works over local area networks using Novell's NetWare or TCP/IP-based networks for personal computers. Right now, the package costs $250, but the company envisages a street price of around $150. It's already available in the USA. Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation's NTT Human Interface Laboratories has demonstrated a new network system to enable multiple users at different locations to share a common virtual space. Called Cyber Campus, it features an interface environment and combines that with a video conferencing system to enable users to see and speak to each other in that world. It was developed using software from Sensor 8 Corporation. Current demos include Tower Records, a virtual music store where customers can preview music and buy it from a sales assistant in the virtual space. According to a report from City Brokers Derlicher and Company Limited, internet access in Britain is to become a £1 billion business within 5 years. This compares with 1995 spending by UK companies and individuals of just 35 million. The main sectors to be hit will be the telecoms companies. Derlicher warned that the explosive growth of the internet in the next few years would pose a serious threat to traditional telephone companies such as BT. It points to the arrival last year of a number of software packages which enable users to make phone calls over the internet to anywhere in the world, adding the internet will soon be capable of international calls at local prices. The downward pressure on prices will make it harder for traditional phone companies to charge for calls according to the duration. There will then be a move towards charging for access and content, Derlicher says. Here are a few brief items of interest. Compaq and the Fisher-Price unit of Mattel Incorporated showed off the first fruits of their reliance on educational and entertainment computer products for young children at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Called Wonder Tools, the line includes interactive computer toys, preschool appropriate computer peripherals, and standalone software titles for children and families. For example, a $150 driving console with a steering wheel and horn enables small children to take fantasy trips on their family's PC. Sega Enterprises Limited are about to announce joint development of a speech recognition chip with Ricoh Company Limited and the use of speech recognition technology in educational software. We've been watching with interest the development of the high-density CD and DVD, the digital video disc format. News comes in this month that the consumer products unit of Toshiba has rushed out its first digital video disc player much earlier than expected, although it will not ship until the autumn, and there are no discs for it yet. Sony plans to have a digital video disc player on the market by the end of the year. Forecasting sales of 500,000 in the first year, 1 million in the second, and 2 million in the third, Philips Electronics is promising to have a digital video disc player on the market by the year end, at somewhere between $500 and $800. And Thomson has commissioned Matsushita to manufacture its digital video disc players for sale around the world. And finally, forget about fake fur and designer stubble. Next season's fashion could well be skinwear, the world's first body-worn computer. Washington-based Computer Products for Services have created the Mobile Assistant. It's belt-worn, 50 MHz 486 PC with a 200 MB hard drive, a lithium battery pack, and a monochrome head-mounted display screen and a speech interface. Altogether, it weighs in at under £5, enabling users to perform speech-activated computing in a completely hands-free mobile environment. The 1-inch screen, positioned on a pair of movable goggles, gives the viewer the impression of viewing a full-size monitor, with the ability to link drawings from CAD and manufacturing systems with other data to create hands-free computer-based manuals and guides. The Mobile Assistant is being targeted at telemedicine, engineering and plant maintenance, although there will be an optional thigh strap keyboard available. Word has it that next year Even speech activation may be superfluous with the arrival of eye sensors and brainwave readings. Don't think it can't happen. And that's APT's Multimedia Futures for February 1996.
Multimedia Futures is available via the internet. Email info@apt.globalnews.com. Please mention video interface in your inquiry.
Not only are Toshiba Britain's leading portable computer supplier, they're also undisputed master in the world arena. However, the ever-present are challenges from the other major manufacturers, and now developments such as Intel producing their own portable computer motherboard. With me today is Murray McCurley, Toshiba's UK Product Marketing Manager. Murray, how are Toshiba going to face these challenges?
Well, there's several things that we're going to have to continue to do to face the challenges. The first of which is basically continue to build onto the core strengths of Toshiba Corporation. If you think about it, Toshiba as a corporation isn't only involved in portable computer manufacture, we're also a leading player in the world semiconductor market. So we make our own memory for our portable computers, so we have a leading edge upon most of our competitors. We also manufacture hard disks and screens and several of the components that find themselves on the motherboards of the portable computers. So by continuing to invest in those technologies, we can continue to lead the market in terms of bringing that new technology to the market. In terms of the products themselves, we will continue, of course, to focus tightly on the portable computing market and bring out products which will address closely the needs of specific areas of the market. So we're going to divide up the product range really into clear segments so that each customer will know which part of the Toshiba notebook range is most appropriate for their needs.
Sure. With us today are two examples. First of all, the Tecra, the familiar T numbering appears to have gone. Can you explain a bit about the rationale behind that?
The arrival of names on Toshiba notebook computers is really to help our customers identify which part of the notebook computer range is going to be best suited to their particular needs. So we're going to divide the range up into 4 clean segments, each with a different name to which we would hope to attach a set of values that different parts of the market will identify with.
Murray, today you've brought with you the Tecra 700 CT. Where does that fit in the Toshiba strategy?
Well, Tecra is all about top-end performance. Any Tecra machine will always be at the top of our product range. So we're trying to identify performance and leading-edge technology with all of our Tecra products. The other parts of the product range are Satellite Pro, which is really all about good value for money and some advanced technology, perhaps not as leading edge as with Tecra products, but for those customers that still want some advanced technology, we will have the Satellite Pro. We also have Portagee, which is all about the ultimate in portability and performance. The Portagee products will be typically smaller than normal A4 notebooks and hence a little bit lighter, but will still have good performance, fast chips and large hard disks, etc. The final piece of the jigsaw, which is what I've brought along to show today, is the satellite range, which will be our value for money offering to the market. The satellite products will typically have technology that's been used before in other parts of the product range, but we'll have realised the benefits of economies of scale and that manufacturing expertise that I talked about a few minutes ago, and we'll be bringing to the market good quality, good value for money notebook computers at fairly aggressive prices.
Sure. Is the satellite aimed at the corporate market then?
Oh yeah, the satellite machines will be good corporate fleet purchases for general purpose notebook use. The satellite product will be a good investment.
Sure. Any features of the machines that you'd like to highlight?
Well, the Tecra product, like I said, is our leading edge technology product, so there's quite a few things in there that Toshiba have invested heavily in and are now paying off in terms of a notebook computer. It's got the fastest processor that's available from Intel for notebooks. It's got the most advanced memory technology that we've been able to develop. It's got the largest hard disk that we've been able to develop. It's got the biggest screen that we've been able to develop. So it really is cramming in the best of everything that we can get. It's also fully equipped for multimedia. There's a quad-speed CD-ROM drive in the machine we can see here. It's also got built-in stereo speakers. So if it's multimedia that you're trying to get to, then the Tecra will address those needs. But that's not really the key innovation of Tecra. In the desktop world, PCI, or peripheral component interconnecting peripherals, have really taken off.
and we wanted to bring to the notebook user the ability to use those peripherals. So the Tecra machine can dock to a piece of equipment called Toshiba DeskStation 5, which can take PCI expansion cards. So you can now use those faster network cards or ATM adapter network cards or video capture cards that currently you can only get in the PCI standard that simply can't be used with ISA components. So with Tecra, there's a really good example there of Toshiba's investment in R&D paying off and giving something to customers way ahead of the rest of the market. We think we've got about a 6-month lead on any of our competitors in terms of bringing PCI expansion to the notebook user.
The Tecra seems to meet the needs of the top end of the market.
Yeah.
What about more general use, Murray?
Well, for general purpose use, perhaps at better prices, I think perhaps the undertone there. Products like the Satellite Pro and the Satellite that are brought along today will meet the needs of the market. These products are typically more about just getting the core things right. So the Satellite 100 CS that we've got in front of us today has for the first time got a Pentium processor in it and a nice colour screen at a very aggressive price point, which is very suitable for the corporate fleet user. But that's not really all that's about the Satellite. For the first time, we've managed to put the interface for Toshiba Card Station on the back of the product. And the Toshiba Card Station is really a good benefit to corporate users. You can, in this age of hot desking and so on, terms you've probably heard of, it's possible to have one card station on the desk and 3 or 4 users can at different points in the day come in and bring their notebook computer along and connect it to the card station. Now the card station can hold permanently a PCMCIA adapter for Ethernet or token ring or perhaps some backup device that you want to use. So in corporate use, it saves you buying separate Ethernet adapters for each individual user or separate docking stations for each individual user. One docking station for perhaps 3 or 4 users.
Certainly a feature that will appeal to the major corporate market in the UK, I'm sure.
Sure.
Murray, in summary, something for everyone in the new Toshiba range. When can we see these models?
Well, the Tecra is actually shipping right now. We launched it at the tail end of 1995. And the Satellite 100 CS we have here is being announced on February the 1st, so we should be seeing it any day now.
It'll be out with the video. Okay. Murray McCurley, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back with us again now to give us his view of the world and the happenings in the industry is Guy Kewney. Welcome back, Guy.
Hello.
Guy, first of all, you were here at the beginning of the programme. You saw Mike Lunge's interview. In your opinion, the right man for the job?
Well, to confess to a small amount of bias, Mike is somebody I've known for a long time. I knew when he was a semiconductor expert way back, and I think he even sold toys for a while. It was one of the large American companies, toy computers. Yes, he did. So I've seen him in operation a long time, and I would say definitely IBM's made life very easy for its rivals in the last 3 years for a number of reasons. It certainly lost its understanding of what it ought to be doing. It went off on a very wild goose chase on a completely spurious idea of branding, which would have possibly have applied in the biscuit business, but had no place in computers. And it also, I think, lost its focus on people. And it's very important, if you look at successful companies, if you take successful companies globally, you quite often find they're not successful in particular territories. Now, Compaq's a case in point. It's very successful worldwide. It's unusually successful in the UK. And the reason I would say that is that I believe that the man who runs Compaq UK is particularly good at understanding how to motivate people, how to hire good people, and most important, how to let them do what they're good at rather than turning them into little bearded puppets of themselves. And Mike, A, understands the channel and the importance of distribution and how to manage it, and B, he understands the importance of hiring other people who also understand that and then letting them do it. So I am expecting him to be a good person for the job. Although having said that, cynically, one might also say that all he really has to do is sit at his desk and answer the phone and things must get better, because they really did go very bad for IBM.
Yes. Okay, well, it's good to hear you saying positive things for his future anyway, and for the future of IBM. I'd like you to expound on a subject that you have called computer worship. So would you like to give us your views on this?
Computer worship is the opposite of any other sort of worship, in that it takes I think you'll see the best example of computer worship as the network and the internet expands. Let me give you a typical example of computer worship. A friend of mine, born and brought up in America, recently had to go off to visit an ill parent back in Ithaca. Now, she hasn't actually been back to there, apart from short visits, for 10 years. She's had a credit card based with that bank for 15 years. Every month she's paid her bills, she's done vast amounts of spending. She's obviously one of their best customers. She books herself a ticket, she goes down to the travel agent to collect it. The travel agent asks for her credit card, she hands it over, they put it through the machine, they watch the screen. They picked up a pair of scissors and cut it in half in front of her. And she said, "What?" And they said, "Well, it says retain and destroy, so I have." Well, she got in touch with her bank and she said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, we've done a credit check on you and we find you to be a poor risk." And she says, "You know, you've had me as a customer for 15 years. I've never missed a payment. I put vast amounts through the account. How good a customer do you have to be?" And they said, "Well, we've done a check with one of the reference agencies and it shows you as being a defaulter." She said, "Well, I'm not aware of any defaulting payments. I'm scrupulous about that." Well, it's on the data. And what had happened was perfectly understandable in a sense. American people of, civic authorities are fed up with people defaulting on parking tickets, so they've added the parking ticket defaulters. Well, this woman actually got 2 parking tickets on the day she was leaving home in the middle of a divorce, coming to live in Europe. Nobody ever sent her the tickets. Nothing happened. 10 years later it pops up. But the interesting thing is that because the information about her being a bad credit risk was given by a computer, the clerk believed it. It must be true. These are people who, if it says on the computer, "It's a sunny day," and they look out through the window and they see snow falling, will put their swimming costumes on and go out, because if the computer says it. Now, 10 years ago, if a company had that sort of phony data in their own database, they would quietly lose customers. Idiots who'd go somewhere else. No longer. The internet means these people all share their information. When I started telling the story to other people, I've had maybe a dozen instant tales from people saying, something similar happened to me. People who have been blacklisted, or whitelisted as they call it, for defaulting on credit cards they've never had. And it goes from one company through to another one. I know one guy who has a job in 2 parts of the UK. The company discovered this, they did a check, they found they had 2 people with the same name, which is not unusual, so they put a little mark saying, "Make sure that we haven't got these 2 people confused." Because there was a query on it, it went through, "Query this man's credit check." Because of that, it went through to another database as, "Do not give him credit." And the next thing that happened was that credit card company discovered that he was a bad risk and they cancelled his card. Because of information they had fed in to remind themselves to do it. And just because it was on the screen, it must be true, and therefore all the information they have personally about the person is irrelevant because the computer has said it. And this is a problem that is going to turn the internet, I suspect, into a bogeyman. You ask me why there's a sudden, very competitive situation with mortgages, and I'll tell you, it's because all these mortgage companies are too stupid to realize that all the people they're turning down are their best customers. It's computer worship gone mad. It'll get worse as the network becomes more prevalent.
Is that an answer?
Oh, yes. Oh, very much so. They've got to hire real people who know what they're doing.
Okay. In the news, we talked about CDs, or the high-density CD format. We've spoken about CDs as well. Toshiba have just released their first CD player, even though there's nothing to play on it yet, or the high-density CD player, even though there's no disc. And we're hearing about 6 times CD speeds and 12 times.
We are indeed, aren't we? I think
the
somebody.
Kewney view.
Well, I think somebody ought to take these people out and quietly shoot them. I think I can understand why, if you've got to sell a bigger and faster machine, you would be inclined to emphasize the good features of the one you have. What I find a little unforgivable is people making claims for CD technology which are never going to be true. Now, we all know what a CD is. It's a spiral groove, and it's got music which starts on the inside and comes out to the outside. Now, inside grooves are short, and therefore the CD has to spin fast. The outside grooves are long, and therefore it slows down. And as the laser moves out from the center of the CD slows itself down gradually. That's fine for music. It runs at the same speed that it's meant to, and it just gradually self-clocks. Data, I want this track, I want that track, I want this track again, I want 4 tracks from there. And each time I move the head, I've got to adjust the speed of the CD to do it.
Right.
At a standard CD speed, that's not a problem. You can speed it up pretty quickly and you can slow it down pretty quickly. At 2x, it starts to become a bit of a problem. At 4x, it's quite heavy engineering. When you get to 8x, you're actually not speeding things up, by the time you've actually speeded up the inside track from having read the outside track, you've probably waited longer for the speed to adjust than you would have waited for the data to come off it. If you go any faster than that, not only will you make that effect worse, but if you think about it, the CD is not designed to spin fast. And already at 6x, you're starting to see aerodynamic problems with the thing spinning, the head getting too close, whirls and vortices sped up inside the box. Now, you could design a CD player that got round all that. It would cost 5 times what anybody else has done and nobody would buy one. Furthermore, you'd probably screw up all the driver software that uses it. So people who go around telling their customers, oh yes, don't worry about this, you'll be able to get much faster CDs without waiting for high density. To put it not too politely, are lying. It's not going to happen. We do have to wait for the new technology.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Finally, in about 2 minutes that we have left, a comment from you. The Microsoft network seems to have died.
You mean the MSN online network?
Yes.
Well, the difference between it and death is hard to detect, isn't it? I had a very interesting dinner with the Microsoft head of MSN not that long ago, where in almost one paragraph he explained to me that there was no unfair competitive advantage to running MSN in the box with Windows 95, because it was a legitimate use of their access to the channel. 2, that although they had done no sales promotion, advertising or publicity, MSN membership had taken off beyond their wildest dreams and was reaching huge numbers. And if the contradiction of those 2 statements is enough, he then followed up with saying he wasn't prepared to say how many subscribers they had because he had no way of knowing how many of them were going to stay online. Now, the 3 statements together leave you with a choice of at least one of them, and probably 2 of them as being false. And if you were to ask me quietly, all 3 are questionable. And what's really interesting is that it doesn't matter. There's nothing there. You get onto online, you find all the information providers who have been trying to use their tools can't. I'm not even slightly surprised to see Microsoft signing up Sun's Java language, because they are going to have to develop an object technology that applies across the board. OLE is not suitable for the sort of work that we're doing at mid-range systems integration. Java is suitable. Well, it will be if once they get it sorted out between Java object standards and Corba object standards. And I think as the year goes by, you will see those 2 harmonizing. You will see really serious things coming out of these Java camps and these Java competitions that Sun is organizing. And I think we'll start to see some standards that will be really useful. But it's not going to do any saving of life for Microsoft's MSN, I'm afraid.
Right. Guy Kewney, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Steve.
And in fact, Guy Kewney will be back in every edition this year, thanks to the generosity of our friends at Compaq, who are paying for him to come back and join us. Great. Don't forget this card. Re-register now. If you'd like to see Guy through the next 5 editions of Video Interface during 1996, then you need to send back the card. Don't forget. That's edition 20 of Lantec's Video Interface. Cheerio for now.